Hello once again, everybody. Welcome back to Soccer's Overtime, your weekly look inside the San Diego Sockers and the Major Arena Soccer League, coming to you live on Twitch alongside Tony Sanchez. Craig Elston here with you. Such a pleasure to be back with our Sockers family once again, live and rollicking. No game to talk about. The grand old arena lived up to its name last week, Tony, but apparently we're going to be dried out after a soggy break here for Season 6, Episode 10.
I have some theories of what happened. People might be sabotaging some megastars, not helping the piping out. We'll talk about it, but man, it's been a great couple of first weeks here in January, and I'm really excited for Soccer's action coming up.
Yeah, a super busy, semi-defining period of the soccer season is about to get underway. We thought we were tiptoeing up to it, but now we're just going to dive right in after a week off. On the show tonight, Sockers get washed out. How do you get rained out indoors? Well, we'll explain what happened at Pechanga Arena and what's coming up this weekend as well. San Diego has signed one of their college draft picks. We'll let you know about Juan Salazar and when he might make his Sockers debut. Might be sooner than you think. We got a special guest I'm really looking forward to tonight, Oscar Sanchez, joining us live from Nuevo León, from Monterrey. At the bottom of the hour, he's going to recap what's happened the last couple weeks. Monterrey, not just sweeping Chihuahua in a back-to-back once, doing it twice. 4 straight wins for the Flash over the Savage. And now here comes Chihuahua this weekend, coming into San Diego for the first time. So we're going to get the full rundown on the state of fútbol rapido sur de la frontera con nuestro amigo Oscar Sanchez. That's at the bottom of the hour at 5:30. In MASL news, we got UCFC Blues. Utica loses twice on the road and basically drops a goaltender every 30 minutes. Plus, another Mexican superstar signs in Empire. We got to talk about that, and we sure will. It's all ahead on the show of record in the MASL. That is Soccer's Overtime. Real special welcome to everybody joining us live right now on Twitch. We are on every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/San Diego Sockers. Thanks to everyone who has made this a part of your calendar, gotten those, you've subscribed to the channel, you get those live recommendations, you pop on in and chat with us. We appreciate every one of you. But anyone who's watching the next day or days later on YouTube or listening on podcast, we thank you equally for your patronage and for supporting the Major Arena Soccer League, supporting the sport of indoor soccer. It is greatly appreciated. It's a niche audience, and it is one that we are happy to service each and every week, Tony. Whew. Well, how are you?
I am energized. I am not bruising. I am not licking any sort of victory wounds that might have taken place over this past weekend, obviously for things to come, and definitely everybody here who's tuned in, I'd hope is in the know, and hopefully nobody's going to be shocked to know that there aren't going to be any highlights or recaps for the game that was not played this last weekend, as we said, either Soccer's wise or Celebrity Halftime Show wise. And a surprise. I didn't know this was a card that can be dealt at any point, but you know what? We live and we learn, and that's a one off the bingo card for Pechanga Arena.
Yeah. Hey, can't close up the old place without first giving it a little wash, little subterranean wash there, and we're gonna dig into it momentarily. Just want to say, for everyone who has supported the new radio show, thank you so much. Annie and Elston, we're on Monday through Friday now, 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. on 97.3 The Fan here in San Diego. For everybody who is watching us from around the country, you can tune in, you can support the show. It's on YouTube each and every day on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel, 97.3 FM The Fan. So check that out. Super easy way to consume the show if you happen to not be terrestrial, not able to have the terrestrial radio. The Odyssey app is another one that you can use as well, or honestly on Apple Podcasts, anywhere the show gets archived, gets cut up, segmented, etc. So you can check it out. Annie and Elston, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2. So I've already had a 4-hour show in the rearview mirror. Last week we had our announcement day, the day of the show, Tony. Today, just a regular full-on 4-hour show. So digging into hour number 5 here, building my stamina back up to be extra strong talker. Talk very strong.
Gosh, you got to get good at the talking, and yours good, yeah. That's a completely different time in my period, but it works. It checks out, right? Hans and Franz, hopefully they do. There's a script. This is a different podcast at this point, but there's a script for Arnie. But man, look, I don't have to tell you what a Herculean effort you're doing in these hours. So I just hope, and then we've had these talks in private, just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, getting some rest, getting some vitamins, some liquids, hydration, food was a big topic. At what point are you going to eat? You have a 5-minute break to just snack on power bars.
I'm still figuring that out, bro. Yeah. One power bar at 12 has kind of been my thing so far. One power bar at 12 o'clock. And you know what happened today? I forgot the power bar. I forgot to have the power bar. And then I was like starving at 1:30. I was getting hangry by the end of the show. So we're figuring it out. I took a solid 15-minute power nap from like 4:25 to 4:40 before this. So I feel now refreshed, revitalized. I've got my coffee with the pug mug, and I'm ready to go. Thank you to everyone who's helped the show. And like I said, you can check it out. Don't abandon us now, but later you can go check out the replay of today's show and every show on YouTube on the 97.3 The Fan channel. Okay, so let's get into it. Friday morning. In fact, I was at the station getting ready, and we were about to have our weekly pre-match meeting that the Sockers have, and I was on the phone, dialed in, and then it's like, oh, nope, never mind. Hang on, no meeting. The game's canceled. Like, what? No game Sunday. What? Is the league folding? What's happening? Like, I mean, just like, what's going on? And then turns out, actually, a water main broke underneath Pechanga Arena, San Diego. Now, exactly when that took place, good question. I don't think anyone necessarily has the answer. What it appears is that when folks showed up, the morning shift at Pechanga Arena on a morning of a Gulls home match, they walked in to find just about ankle deep water. Here are some pictures that were taken by members of our San Diego Soccer staff from the day. That's the bottom of the tunnel. You've been there many times, Tony. You can just see the dirt and crud that had gathered as a result. And you can see that dude over there by the little separator fence. He's ankle deep. Like he's straight up ankle deep down there trying to sort through the mess. There it is a little bit close up just to get a feel of what was going on. So the whole weekend was canceled. The Gulls were supposed to play Friday. They were supposed to play Saturday. We, of course, were supposed to play Sunday. All of that got canceled. They had to suction out all the water, try and drain everything. They had to take all the turf that was inside, rolled up, and then getting, soaked this deep in muck water out to the parking lot and like just literally put it out in the parking lot. And then I think it drizzled on like Saturday, but yeah, there you see one of the just unbelievable, right? That's the hallway to go out on the ice. And you can just see how nasty it was.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane to have that happen and just the damage, right, that incurs and the repairs at this point to get all that done, because it's not like they're going to take their time. This needs to be done as soon as possible. And I mean, I can't imagine just what it just does to talk about a monkey wrench. This isn't affecting just one team. It's affecting multiple teams, multiple people, and people who work at the arena for those events as well. And it's unfortunate, especially with what was lined up to be a pretty good San Diego Sockers match.
Yeah, absolutely. Sockers and Outlaws. There's so there's so much, or I should say proper grammar. There are so many knock-on effects to what happened as a result of these postponements. Well, let's give you an example. The Texas Outlaws couldn't change their flight. They had their flights set to come into San Diego on Saturday. It would have cost their club around $20,000 to change their flights. So they flew into San Diego on Saturday for a match they didn't have. They stayed at the soccer's team hotel for a match they didn't have. Well, now they're going to have to come back again. That's another flight. That's more hotel stays. For a day or a night, the home team is required to pay for the visiting team. Well, who's paying this time? Is it the arena? Because this is all a direct result of the arena's problem. Or are the soccer's forced to pay again? Rescheduling comes down to, well, where can you fit it in now? Because you're not going to fly Texas out here 3 times. You're going to fly them out twice. So is there another trip to Empire that they could tack on here? Or is it going to be as simple as the day before or the day after the next time Texas comes to town, which is Thursday, February 15th? All of this, the travel impact, the hotel impact, the league schedule. When can Texas come back? I looked it up. The day before the next soccer's match is a Gulls match on Valentine's Day. Yeah. So if they bring back the Outlaws, well, then it would be on the 13th and the 15th potentially. Okay, well, now we're talking about like 4 days hotel stay as opposed to a couple of days hotel stay. So all of it is a big old mess. And it all needs to get sorted. And it will be. Rescheduled date to be determined. One thing to know for sure, if you have or had a ticket for the January 7th match, that ticket is good for whenever this match is rescheduled. And stay tuned. Soccer's Overtime, SDSoccers.com, Soccer's social media at San Diego Soccers. As soon as we get a reschedule announcement, obviously we will put that out there. But what a mess. It's no one's fault. I mean, I even, everyone's like, well, the old arena, it's a water main.
Yeah.
Like, that's not like, oh, well, every 10 years, you got to replace the water main. Like,
these things,
did they wait?
Happen. Yeah, probably. Like it's something that was probably used that was not up to code for an arena per se that's getting built nowadays. I'll tell you this much. Front Wave Arena will not have water main breaks anytime soon. Absolutely.
Well, they better not. They better not.
But I mean, the thoughts and just the conspiracies did start coming in. I see Marlisha having her take on who done it. But again,
I like her theory, by the way. Cabana Boy Jeff, we talked about this last week, the king of the media game, but he couldn't be at Sunday's match because his daughter was moving to Nashville. Was he the one? Did he sneak in during AEW wrestling earlier with a lead pipe, with a pickaxe?
Well,
to make sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. The most electrifying move in sports entertainment was performed that Monday on Monday Night Raw by none other than Dewey, as we call him in the biz, Johnson, The Rock, making a surprise comeback and shattering hearts of people who didn't attend because they had to do a separate podcast, aka me, because it's been a lifelong dream. But the impact of such a human was probably too much for the foundation and the water mains to handle. And I mean, look, they call him the great one for a reason and made a great impact, flooded the arena. And maybe Cabana Boy Jeff has the Rock's contact number. And, I'm just putting things together here that are making a little bit too much sense. But either way,
conspiracy. Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't work unless it's a conspiracy. I mean, just Cabana Boy Jeff committing a terrible act, of sabotage to burst the water main. I mean, but if the Rock's involved, now first you had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Yeah, like I know WWE's. I've heard Cabana Boy Jeff give tickets away to these events for wrestling, so there's a connection there. I've tried to win them, but It's all good. It's all good. People will have their shot at me, hopefully, if it works out. And if not, guess what? I'm on top at Pechanga Arena, 2-0, undefeated. What can I say? I'm okay with that one.
Well, let's just say this. The intent of the organization is to reschedule the media game. I mean, yes, also to reschedule the actual game. But
Correct.
for the bigger and more important news, the media game intends to be rescheduled as well. However, I'm here to tell you it probably won't be rescheduled to whenever that rescheduled game is. Because if we're going to drop that on a Tuesday night, I'm not going to put the media game on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
First off, because it's a Tuesday night. Second of all, the media's working. It's a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking maybe Star Wars night might be the place to go for this. I mean, why not? And we can decide who's the Jedi and who's the Sith.
I like that. I like that actually. That's a really good. I mean, I guess I'm the heel in this, so Team Tony's the Sith.
I mean, maybe. By the point that if we did do that, if we did Star Wars Night's March 1st. If we did that, couldn't I completely reconstitute the teams? Like,
I mean,
maybe balance things out. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think you're going to have. By the way, Andres Jaime Mendez, he's going to be back at school. Yes, you're going to lose your ringer.
Yes, he is, and you know what? That's okay. I may need that extra challenge this time. Maybe we can get Steve Garcia from the Emo Brown podcast to finally show up. I don't know.
I mean,
I finally
3 months advantage. Yeah, with 3 months notice, maybe, maybe we can finally get Steve-O to grace us and play for the South Bay once again. God only knows.
Yeah.
So that's the situation. Once again, water main broke. The arena has indicated that they're back up open for business. Tomorrow night, the Gulls host Coachella Valley. Friday and Saturday, the Gulls host Iowa. And game's on. So that means our game's on too on Sunday night. So whatever happened underneath, the ice is going to be ready. The turf and the boards are going to be ready. I saw JG put in the chat that it didn't smell too bad when the Sockers group, and by the way, shout out the Sockers front office, the Seals front office. They were down there Monday morning working together, cleaning out the storage areas, which they share underneath the arena that also were impacted by water. Apparently not too terribly, at least as far as the Sockers were concerned in terms of damage or things lost. But nonetheless, all of that was happening. So Wednesday night, tomorrow night, Gulls are back. So Sunday we'll be rolling. The one real question I have, and I asked it of our staff this morning, is if anyone had unrolled the turf yet. Because sometimes when something gets wet and then it's kind of kept wet, it's stored wet, there can both be obviously a stinking issue when it's unrolled, but also there can be a warping issue. The turf can get rippled. And so I'm very much hoping that's not the case going forward. But we're going to find out. And I mean, the Seals turf is down there too. So, I'm hopeful for these arena teams that more serious damage has been avoided, because otherwise that bill for the arena just goes up, even higher.
Yeah, no, just again, turf talk, I guess. But in other places in Fútbol Rápido, for the majority of Fútbol Rápido in Mexico, it's all an outdoor venue. So you would have on the turf the little black pebbles that are made out of rubber that you would potentially see a lot of on the turf field that you see here. But that's also to help the amortiguación, como se dice en inglés? Craig, amortiguación. No, okay, cool. But it helps for to be able to play on it when it is wet and not have so much extensive damage to the actual turf, something that isn't available for the turf at Pechanga that the Sockers have, because that's just legitimately carpet, and it's very high-end carpet, believe it or not. It's special sometimes.
Indeed. Magical, you might even say. So All of that is just to be determined, and there's nothing to be done about it, and there's no one to get mad at. I mean, a pipe broke and it stinks, and believe me, the arena got it the worst of everybody. And then behind the arena, the Gulls got it the worst because it was on the day that they were supposed to start a 5-game homestand in the span of like 8 days. And then 2 of those games got completely blown out for a team that plays a lot more games than we do. So, big time mess. Let's hope it all gets cleaned up. And that's awesome. One bit of soccer's news before we get to our guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. And once again, I think we brought it up right earlier, but Oscar Sanchez is joining us, MASL Figuras, and soccer journalist, covers all the teams down in Monterrey, the Tigres and everyone, Rayados, everyone in between. So looking forward to him at the bottom of the hour. Soccers did make an announcement today, and I don't know if it's up on the MASL website yet. And if not, that means Soccer's Overtime is breaking news once again. Breaking news and breaking hearts. The Soccers have signed one of their college draft picks. Juan Salazar, the 3rd-round pick, Colombian, 3rd-round selection for San Diego out of Point Loma Nazarene University. Previously played at Cal State San Marcos University. Left footer. Was first team All-Pac West his senior year at PLNU. Led them to a conference title. Led them to a playoff win. Outstanding young man who, after the draft, has been able to come out, Tony, to Soccer's training. And over the course of the last couple of weeks of Soccer's training, has made enough of an impression that, as you can see, there he is, signing his name on the dotted line in order to become the newest member of the San Diego Soccers. So the thing that excites me about this is just, limited reports that I've received, Tony, but apparently Juan Salazar, he's got some bite to him. He's a player that's got some intensity, some ferocity. La sangre de Colombia is in his veins. And it's something where, he got into it with some guys, and he's got that left foot, a left footer that can shoot. That's something. He's really got, Callan mentioned, calling games at Point Loma, good shot, really good shot for Juan Salazar. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. And I think we're going to get a chance right away to find out, because Soccers are playing a futsal exhibition Thursday up at the Anaheim Convention Center inside the United Soccer Coaches Convention. What are they calling it? The MASL Pro Indoor Cup. Okay. Do you think if the Strikers beat Juan Salazar and Julian Garcia and Max Rodriguez and the rest of the kids that we put out there as the Soccers on Thursday, do you think they'll hang a banner for being MASL Pro Indoor Cup champions?
Absolutely. And it's going to be a giant celebration and thanking the contributions of Marco Fabian and Ponce for coming in and really elevating the empire above the legendary San Diego Soccers, and something that they can never take away is this meaningless victory over San Diego, which, look, everybody's going to go ahead and have, right? Like, I guess even if it's an exhibition and you land some good punches on Tyson, you landed some good punches, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It's nowhere near a competition that, anybody should take seriously. Not to discourage people from actually attending and going. However, just be prepared and adjust those field goals or those esas porterías.
So 5:00 kickoff Thursday inside the Anaheim Convention Center. If you have a pass for the convention, you see it, for the same charge. There are a certain number of tickets available. You can go to, really the best thing I think is call 866-799-GOAL. Call Spencer, 866-799-GOAL. She can set you up. I think there's a portal to it somewhere on the Soccer's website, but I just don't want to promise that. This is a big deal for the MASL. This is way more a league thing. The MASL likes to have a presence inside United Soccer's Coaches Convention. This is like the biggest soccer coaches convention in the country at this time of year. It was in Kansas City a year ago, and they had a Comets match like that night at Kemper Arena, tied into it and had a huge crowd. So the MASL is trying to create these ties. They're trying to create ties and adjacencies to the outdoor sport, to the more traditional American soccer ecosystem. This is another way to do that. It's the first time ever inside the convention that a game is of any kind is being played. So that's really cool. And it's cool that the MASL is leading the way in that sense. Now, is it an indoor soccer match? It's not. It's futsal. They'll have that little carpety, it's not even carpet, it's the little rubbery surface with the little, almost looks like flat Lego pieces. And they'll be rolling it out there 4v4, and it's going to start at 5. It'll be 2 20-minute halves. It'll blow right through. It'll be done at 6. They'll sign some autographs afterwards. So for the league, it's great. To answer Susan's question, will it be streamed? It won't. It was going to be. I was going to do the game with Philly. Now my understanding is that the Strikers found out what the cost was, essentially, of doing. And look, if it was us, we would have said no as well to the cost of what it was going to cost to do the broadcast from inside the ACC. So I believe Philly is doing PA for the event, and I'm going to be there. I'm going to have my phone. I'll take care of some soccer social media. I'll take some clips. Literally, I don't know that any Sockers will play. I heard maybe Brandon. Maybe Brandon. We don't really have a Sockers 2 team to just roll out there anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So a couple of guys, but listen, Friday, the team flies to Tacoma. Saturday, they play Tacoma. Sunday, they fly home. And Sunday, they play Chihuahua. So anybody doing anything Thursday on the plastic turf of futsal seems silly, right? Like, why would you do that? And I'm sure we won't, or at least I hope so.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I guess, some of the comments here, like, why risk Escoto? Why risk anybody, really? This is nothing to really, in retrospect, you don't want to have a situation where you have to start a sentence with, in hindsight or in retrospect, maybe we shouldn't have done this, or maybe we shouldn't have thrown this person out. And again, with that, obviously, signing of the player and the lack of Soccers 2, this really kind of answers that question that we had at the beginning of the season of where's the depth going to come in, and having these games is a good experience for Juan Salazar coming in and getting to get his footing and really being able to have a bit more of a scout if you're out there and can give us a little bit more insight of what his footwork is, and it works for that sense. But and again, for the league image, I can see it being a net positive. But overall, I think it's the right call to not have any of the Soccers who are going to be playing for actual points in the league that matters, and everybody's still gunning for you. I think you should save those especially for this long road trip coming up.
Yeah. Marlisha wants to know if someone on Facebook could live stream it. I would like to know, will Lane Smith's daughter-in-law be there? Because if it's not a Facebook live stream from her,
we don't want
it. I'm not interested. Not interested. I only she is the queen of this particular realm, and I dare not trespass on these hallowed grounds. All right, it's the bottom of the hour. Let's head south of the border and welcome in a good friend. I met him multiple years ago. It might have been a decade ago when the Sockers traveled down to Monterrey. At that time, he was doing play-by-play and color commentary for the Monterrey Flash. You've since seen him as a top interviewer of some of the Spanish-speaking players of the Major Arena Soccer League on the MASL Figuras podcast and show on Major Arena Soccer League. He joins us from Nuevo León, from Monterrey. Our friend Oscar Sanchez here, making his debut on Soccer's Overtime. Oscar, Craig, Tony, here with you. Muchas gracias, amigo, para tu tiempo.
Thank you very much for having me, Craig, Tony. Let's talk about indoor soccer.
Let's do it. By the way, I just want to say we are so thankful anytime. It would be very hard if you invited me to come down and do an interview in español solamente. So appreciative of you speaking in English para nuestro audience. Look at that, Spanglish. So first things first, Oscar, tell us about MASL Figuras. Tell us about the work you've done.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to have the best Hispanic players to our audience, to try to have their history, how do they came to the indoor soccer game and how they are doing now in our league. I think it's a good sport, and I think that people like it. And obviously, I like to speak with all of our best players in the league, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, a lot of the players that are coming in, uno de los jugadores y equipos ahorita que está a todo dar, one of the best teams right now is the Monterrey Flash. How impressive have they been this season so far?
Yeah, they have been very, very good. Honestly, I'm a little surprised, not because the Flash, but just because Chihuahua. I didn't expect Chihuahua was going to be 4-0 with Monterrey at this time. I thought there was going to be more even that the both in this at this stage of the season, but 4 games against them and 4 wins for Monterrey. I think they're doing a great job in obviously playing 2-2 home, 2 away. So that makes harder the thing for Monterrey and Chihuahua. I think they don't expect this. Obviously, at least one game. I can tell that they have in mind to, but I don't know. I know Monterrey is doing it good, and Chihuahua, I think it's gonna be better in the season. But right now, it's a surprise for me these results.
Sí, también estamos sorprendidos para los marcadores. Very surprised to see 4 wins for Monterrey. But I am curious. So many players from San Diego now are playing for Flash. Iram Pollo Ruiz and Ismael Rojo, Irvin Mojica. How have those players helped put Monterrey into a winning position?
I think that the best decision that the front office of Monterrey is to hire indoor soccer players. Last season they tried to have former soccer stars, and now they find or they look for indoor soccer players. So I think that's the key of this good start. Ismael Rojo is doing good. Pollo is doing good. I think that is the main reason that Monterrey is so good at the start.
No, absolutely. Pues, la verdad, and a question I kind of want to place in here is, like you mentioned, the players that are not indoor soccer players. Ahorita está jugando Marco Fabián, Ponce. You have Walter Ayoví, who's still playing. You have these names that are not indoor soccer players. How are you seeing them adapt into the league at this point? And le está yendo bien? Is there a chance for this to really be the makings of a good team, as we see Empire trying to do?
Yes, Marco Fabian, I think, is doing it good. I have seen a lot of former soccer players, stars, that come to indoor soccer and they are not that good that they were on the outdoor field, But I think Marco Fabian is doing good. He's one of the best players that had adapted so fast to indoor soccer. It's not easy. It's a different sport. I always say that it's a different sport, and you need to have different skills. You have to be honest and say, okay, in outdoor soccer I was a star, but now I'm starring. I'm new. I'm anyone here. You have to be humble, and I think Marco is doing it good. Not too much players have done that, and I think Marco is doing good. Let's see Ponce. Walter Ayoví do it good. Is good, but being honest, he's not a star as he was at outdoor. He's just a good player until now. Let's see what happened when he had more experience, more seasons. But at this point, I think Marco is doing good. It surprised me how good he's doing.
We're talking with Oscar Sanchez live from Monterrey, and we thank everyone. I know there's a little delay, but it's sounding great. Thank you, Oscar. You are doing incredibly. Let me ask you a question now about Chihuahua, because while Monterrey 4-0, undefeated, amazing, Chihuahua has lost 4 in a row now. They are now in a danger spot in terms of even making the playoffs, and of course they face San Diego next. So we know many players left the Savage, moved to the Flash, guys like Uriel Zuart, like Torres Gonzalez. Is that the situation? Are there coaching questions? What do you think is happening in Chihuahua, and are they planning to make any changes?
I think they lost some players, like Torres, like Valdovinos, like Suarez, and I think they hired some Brazilian players that they are not playing. I don't know what happened. I don't know. From futsal, they brought them to indoor, and they are not playing. I don't know what happened. I think that was maybe the mistake, what they didn't calculate at this point, But I think they're going to be good. They have an incredible facility that is, smaller, and they have an advantage with the other team. They had a good team, very fast team. That's one of their main strengths, and I think they're going to be good. But they were surprised about the Flash. They play those 4 are against Flash, So that's why maybe they have too many losses in a row. Now they're going to San Diego, another tough team in the league. One of the best, maybe the best team in the league. It's going to be hard. I think Chihuahua is going to improve, but it's now they are having a bad time. But I think it's not going to be too long.
Y mencionaba las arenas, the arenas that, Savage has, Corner Sport Arenas, intimate, it's smaller. But over in Monterrey, how are the fans taking to the Flash? What's the situation with the attendance? ¿Cómo le van con los números y los aficionados? ¿Y cómo le está yendo playing in a new location, now playing in Arena Borregos? Is that affecting attendance? Is Chili Willy okay? Does he like it? What's the situation over in Monterrey?
Well, Arena Borregos was the original spot for first team in the city play in that arena at the beginning. They were championships, and I don't know, it's a traditional spot for indoor soccer. Now, I think for the organization, it's a better location because it had more advantage for them. Obviously, Arena Monterrey is a huge scenario, a luxury scenario, but for the team, for indoor soccer, I think it's more comfortable Arena Borregos.
That makes a lot of sense. And the Flash are just doing great. We are watching them from afar because in San Diego, we know it's Monterrey over there. It's us over here. Who's going to wind up with the most points in the league? We are paying very close attention to the Monterrey Flash. I always pay attention to my friend Oscar Sanchez and all the great work you do how can people follow you on social media and find out everything that you're doing?
Yeah, thank you, Craig. Instagram is at 11 Sanchez. At X is the opposite, at O Sanchez 11. And Facebook is the same, at 11 O Sanchez.
I love it. And I follow you on both. And thank you so much for your time. We'll catch up with you again later in the year. And of course, who knows, maybe a Monterrey San Diego final. We can only dream of such a great event. But either way, always a pleasure to see you and to speak with you. And thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. And anytime you need me, it's a pleasure for me.
Outstanding.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, amigo. There he is, Oscar Sanchez, live from Afghanistan. No, I'm kidding.
I love that.
He's the new Scud Stud. On 4-second delay.
They are treating me well here in Monterrey, in Mexico. Estamos todos bien.
Thanks to everybody. Obviously, we had a little bit of a transmission delay there, but it worked out really, really well. And Oscar in English, that was terrific. I think for the league, I was thinking about it just coming into the weekend. I'm like, what's the big story? The big story is Monterrey. Monterrey is the story of the MASL right now. They're the number one team in the league. And I'm here on a soccer's show saying that. You can't go any other way right now. The two teams aren't going to face one another the entire season for the first time. There will be no flash soccer's match. So it's just us watching them from across, them watching us from across. Who can drop a point? The Flash have dropped 1 point. They won an overtime game in Kansas City. So that's the one sliver of light for the Sockers to the MASL Shield. All we got to do is win all 24 matches in regulation, and we're set. That's all we got to do.
That's it.
But honestly, Tony, everyone expected Chihuahua to win at least one of those 4 matches, if not 2.
Yeah.
So those are points that the Flash picked up that no one thought they would, and that's not going to be easy to make up.
Yeah, and to the point that Oscar was making right now is that there are some question marks along with Chihuahua side. There are some Brazilian players that they brought in from the futsal side of things that haven't really made an appearance or an impact at all this season. I think that's exactly what Oscar was saying with what the success has been for Monterrey Flash is they went out and scouted indoor soccer specific players. The transition and the flowers that he gave Marco Fabian are great. The ability to turn into an outdoor player to an indoor player, humble yourself and really, be part of the team, be a nobody in a sense, is great. But there's, again, a very specific niche skill set that you need to have in order to click in the indoor soccer sense at the professional level. And it's not easy, which is even of a bigger of achievement for Monterrey and what they have done in this season so far. It's a testament to great coaching, great players. Arena Borregos, as you heard, also is really complimenting Flash at this point because we mentioned it before. Arena Monterrey is huge. It's almost like playing the equivalent of Staples Center in a sense, right? You can put the Sockers at this Staples Center, and it's going to be this huge empty cathedral of echoes from Brujos del 78. But if you are on the players, it's a completely different beast, especially in this sport.
So true. And it's a much, much smaller venue, much smaller field. It's just like Chihuahua. They're playing pinball down there. So every team that goes down to Mexico has to play pinball. They're not going to. And before, when you went to Arena Monterrey, you're like, well, hey, full-size field. Regular match, full-sized field. Put 5,000 people in there. Like you said, it still doesn't feel like they're down your throat the way they would at Cable Dama Arena in Kansas City or at the Odd in Utica, really anywhere else in the league other than our building. So yeah, it's a different situation. It's one the Flash have absolutely taken advantage of so far. I think they will continue to be tested occasionally north of the border. And the Soccer's dream is that along the way, they're going to drop a game somewhere. But they went to Kansas City and won. And that was the game that I think we all thought, okay, there it is. That's going to be the one. And it wasn't. Flash took that. So now 7-0. They've got a plus 38 goal differential. That's easily the best in the league. They've played 2 more matches than San Diego. San Diego was at plus 19, so they'd have to win by 11 and win by 8 the next 2 games in order to match Monterrey. And yes, look, I remember 22-5. So 17 of that plus 39 or 38 is wrapped up in one match against a clearly outmatched Dallas Sidekick side on that particular day. But it's really getting to be clear that it's Monterrey in the East, and all the other teams are showing their slip to some degree. Kansas City looks very, very strong, but the one game they played against Monterrey, they lost. Utica was looking strong. We'll talk about them as we continue. Not as much anymore. The Wave looked vulnerable. Now Baltimore is trying to knock at the door to try and creep into 4th, but the one team that shows no weakness whatsoever is the Flash. Try and poke a hole in them. Like, I was trying to think, like, what's the weakness of this team? And until you see them against a different kind of competition, I can't tell you that they have a weakness.
Yeah, and again, in a series, who wins if you put San Diego versus Monterrey right now? And it could be a potential toss-up, and that's not a scenario that I really want to think of, because it makes me uncomfortable to know that Monterrey right now is an absolute juggernaut, and I don't want to find out at this point. Let the Soccers get their footing, let their chemistry really develop, let everybody, all the stars get involved, have some of the players that haven't had the points this season that they have in the past really get it going and be primed and ready for playoff time. But again, if it comes down to it and it's these 2 teams, I think the league is going to be really happy about the expression of fútbol rápido at the highest level.
Couldn't agree more. And it was great for the league for Chihuahua to be a champion. It would be kind of weird if it was back-to-back Mexican champions, but there's nothing to be said wrong about it. And this is literally the plan of the Mexican teams. Let's split into different conferences. Let's divide and conquer. And Monterrey moving into the East. I'll just say one last thing, and this might be me being, Captain Petty for just a little bit, but I still see people. I saw them in the MASL, Twitch chats saying, "Oh, Soccers always have the cake schedule in the league, like just the softest schedule." You took Monterrey out of the West, you put them in the East, and it looks like no one can beat them at all.
Yeah.
Monterrey didn't finish 1st or 2nd in the West last year. So and yes, it's a slightly different, not slightly, it's a different team. And it feels like the elite players in Mexico make a difference. Wherever Torres plays, that's going to be where the good team is. Wherever Berna plays, that's going to be where the good team is. Those guys are in Monterrey, but Berna isn't leading the way for Monterrey this year. It's Christian Hernandez, the kid, in net. He's been really the leader. El Sargento has been in the back seat quite often. Hernandez has been the guy who has been getting it done. And again, we're here praising them, but it's kind of fun to be like, there's a beast in the East. There's if the West is a slightly easier path for the Soccers right now, cool, but like, holy crap, what's coming in the East? Could we be the underdogs in a Ron Newman Cup final? I think we very well could be the underdogs in a Ron Newman Cup final.
And it's exciting, man. Like, again, just the growth of the league in that sense. Because, again, the Soccers have been that team that everybody looks at and wants to take out. But now there's another big baddie on the other side of the border and the other side of the divisions. And it's like, okay, well, it's a F1 race all over. You got a Mercedes, you got a Ferrari. Let's go. Let's put the Red Bull versus anybody, and let's let these puppies roll. Because again, this is the best of the best, the cream of the crop, as Randy Macho Man Savage would say. Cream of the crop always rises to the top. And then he has a magic trick and he has a little creamer in his hand. It's one of the greatest promos of all time.
The segment that makes us the show of record in the MASL is when we talk MASL news. All right. Everyone has hit this point. This is where all the executives are tuned in. All the other broadcasters are tuned in. All the players are tuned in. Hey, Craig, I heard you said this or that about such and such. Let's see. Let's bring it on. Here we go. Miguel Ponce is now an Empire striker. So Fabian y Ponce también. What do you think about this? What do you think about Miguel Ponce? Tell me about the Chivas star. What are we supposed to see here?
So when I first saw this, it was almost the same reaction as like, what's going on? Like, what? Really? But obviously now Marco Fabian is with Empire and having shared time in Chivas, being a teammate, it is a matter of like, this is just going to open the floodgates of the Mexican former Chivas players coming over. He's born here in the U.S., so he's from Sacramento, California. So he has some footing and some knowledge of the U.S. a little bit more, I'd say, than Marco Fabian. But he's part of the Mexico national team, and he was part of a team that was part of the Olympic gold medalists. It's just like Marco Fabian that beat Neymar and Hulk back in the day. Some pretty important names for that gold medal in the Olympics. But Pocho is a player that can be dynamic and brings an edge as a left back over in the outdoor game. How that translates here in the defensive side is going to be interesting, because while Marco Fabian is more of an attacker, you're going to see Ponce maybe be on the midfield a little bit more strong and smart going on the defensive end. But again, if you have somebody who's not seasoned, who's not knowledgeable, who doesn't know the angles, the boards, as well as, say, a Guerrero Pino, that's a fatal mistake that you can have at any given point. It's going to be, it's going to cost points. You're going to give them up for the other team. But it's a very interesting tactic that Empire is taking. I can't figure out what's going on over there. Since this season, since preseason, this vision of what Empire Strikers wants to be is so murky. The controversies, the press releases, the stars. I'll give, again, you see Marco Fabian trading jerseys with the Reign, the NHL second division. I'll say it right. Is there a term for it?
He was at an LA Kings game. Now that he was at an actual LA Kings game.
LA Kings. Okay, yeah. And a Clippers game. So I'm happy that they're getting this exposure to the top flight of sports, where they're recognizable names. Ponce, not as much, but it's going to be interesting just kind of seeing how this develops. And is this a project for the long run? Is this a project for next season, maybe 2 seasons from now? Is it really going to impact the win column? I don't know. I don't think so. As fast as these outdoor players can adapt to the indoor game, we're in mid-season. So it's a little bit too late to really give them that benefit of the doubt of, all right, let's see how they pan out, and maybe they can help us in that playoff push. No, you need these players ready now.
Well, when the Sockers signed Landon Donovan, they didn't sign Landon Donovan because they thought that he would be the missing key to the power play or to the championship. It was because of his ability to attract a casual outdoor fan into an indoor game with a name that everybody knows. Marco Fabian in the Hispanohablante audience is a name that most people know. Is it the level of Landon Donovan? You've made that pretty clear to me, Tony. It's not. It's not exactly the same level. There's been a lot of talk about how much is he getting paid. I don't know. And we're not striking fury, so I don't need to dig all the way into what the Burhams are doing or what's happening. I do find some of the wording of their press releases to be very, very strange. Like, they kept talking about absolute must win going into this weekend. Like, what does that mean? When you're like really playing up the fact that the Strikers are 1-5 in their own press releases. And I'm like, are they trying to undermine Paul Wright in some way here? Now, this past week, the announcement that Clay Roberts is taking on some form of advisory role with Empire and is coming in to supervise practice for a few weeks, and then is going to be watching film in Florida and in his home in Florida and contributing. What's that supposed to mean? And it was made to sound like it was Paul's idea, but was it really Paul's idea? I have no idea, and it doesn't matter to me, honestly. Vaya con Dios is my standing resting state when it comes to Empire. Just what you're going to do is what you're going to do. That's fine. I'm really curious how tonight's match goes. They're taking on Texas, and Texas has had 4 days to hang out in California. Did they party in the gas lamp for a couple of days? Are they taking this match seriously? They absolutely should. Texas needs these points. Empire says it's a must win. What is a must win? I don't understand. I don't know where the strikers are. They act like they're in the heart of the playoffs with the way they write about themselves, but I kind of feel like they're almost ticketed for 5th place this year, no matter what. Maybe Fabian changes that, but I am encouraged that they're trying. You know what I mean? Like they're really trying. They're trying to create something. I do hope it works. I truly do. I hope that when we go up there on the 17th, that there's 8,000 fans there instead of an announced 7,000, and there's actually 2,000 there. I really hope that is the case, and that this works, because we want the rising tide to lift all boats in the MASL. And frankly, Fabian has been good. Is he a defender? No. If Ponce is going to play defense, that's like, yikes. But if he's attacking, he's scoring, he's finding power play goals, he's finding his way to offense, he's found some assists along the way, off the wall even. So, I'm excited. Fabian, he's also been great with the media. He seemed to be very, very giving in terms of his time. Did the videos with the Mexican Mandalorian down in Texas. Which I thought was a lot of fun. So, it's all good. It's all great to see it happening. As far as where Empire feels they are, I really have no idea. I'm as confused as you are, Tony.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how they roll out tonight. But I think I figured this out. I know which game they're talking about. It's a must-win.
Thursday. The MASL Pro Indoor Cup. Let's go. Oh my God. And just think, how long will kickoff be delayed on the 17th for the banner ceremony for the MASL Indoor Cup?
I mean, if you roll out Marco Fabiana on the futsal court and Ponce, you know what? Take it. Like, I think we should just not show up. Default win. There you go. You guys went all in on the first hand of the Texas Hold'em tournament.
That's okay. We fold.
That's fine. We fold. We'll play the smart way.
Oh my God. If I see Fabian in anything other than like a suit or a warm-up, like a set of warm-ups on Thursday, I'm gonna have a hearty laugh. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna be one of those belly laughs, where your knees start to hurt a little bit. Like, I'm gonna have a hearty laugh. And that's it for strikers. Well, you know what? Someone mentioned in the chat, and I want to be clear, I haven't listened to the past couple episodes of Striking Fury. Nothing against Philly and the Doc and the Panda. My media diet has been super convoluted with the new show and everything, and I have to pay more attention to some other stuff, and I've just missed the last couple episodes. Someone said in the chat that there was some talk on their show discussing Tavoy, and in particular whether players on the Sockers like Tavoy. And I just want to remind everyone that we talked about this a few weeks ago, Tony.
Yes.
We know factually Gerardo and Tavoy didn't get along. They had fights at practice a couple of times. We've talked about it before. So consider the source.
Yeah.
Consider the source when you evaluate the information.
That had some context, that if you really, want to play Sherlock Holmes here. And I mean, if you want to take a victory in that way, you want to get a banner up for, smack talking and releasing the rumors, then you know what? At this point, they need to practice to put something up in the rafters. But I mean, that I don't, you're at training. I don't have that insight to where maybe there is, but I've never seen anything that can be remotely true about that in person before training.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Just like we're not catching Fury or Empire show, they're not Soccer's Overtime. So
correct. Correct. Big shout out. Saw Philly was on like ESPN Plus doing UC Riverside games. Great stuff. Sick stuff. Love it. He's really taken big steps up. Love all those guys, Philly, Doc, Panda. And look, we talk smack, they talk smack. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, Tavoy leads warm-ups every single game. Tavoy is a key part of the San Diego Soccers. Okay. And the soccer, La Familia de Soccers, like we don't let in bad eggs. You might have seen that over the years. We've had a couple of great players come in and disappear in a quick hurry.
There's a reason for that. There's a philosophy. There's a discipline that comes to becoming and having the chance to be a soccer.
Precisely. So, like I said, I would imagine Gerardo had plenty of things to say about Tavoy Morgan.
Oh yeah.
Just like, if you want to ask me some questions about some radio veterans and their behavior over the last couple of weeks, I might have multiple opinions on that as well. And you might want to consider the source on that as well, as far as their source and my source. So, yeah. I always love, I've said it many times before, I wouldn't mind if the MASL leaned all the way into pro wrestling. Let's create every division possible. Let's create every controversy possible. Can we have someone bring a folding chair out and just crack someone over? Oh my God, he's got the foreign element. He's got the implement, like I'm for all of it because that would absolutely raise the entertainment factor 600%. So, I'm all for that. More MASL news. Utica City FC is dropping in the rankings. There's no such thing as rankings. People do some stuff. MASL Monday, whatever. But I want to put a little context into this because I actually watched these matches. Okay. So Utica City goes to Milwaukee on Thursday, I believe. And they did not have their goalkeeper, Andrew Coughlin. Andrew Coughlin was kept home with at least what the chat said was COVID. I did not speak to Andrew Coughlin, so my apologies if he had the flu or the sniffles or peanut allergies or whatever it may be, but it appears he had COVID. And so they played with their backup goalkeeper, Brian Wilkin, in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee got the win, and they played pretty well. Then the Blues, UCFC, moved along to Tacoma, and they played their third string goalkeeper, Julian Rodriguez, because in between Milwaukee and Tacoma, Brian Wilkin got deathly sick. Apparently not COVID, or else he probably would have been held out of the arena. But he was ashen-faced and sweating on the bench for Utica as Rodriguez came in. And then I was watching this game start to finish on Saturday night, Tony. And I think it was the early second quarter, Juice Cox was coming in on the wing and ripped a shot that just right to the chin of the keeper Rodriguez, dropped him like a sack of flour, just boop, straight back. And he sat for about 5 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes on the turf, and he had to be helped off the turf. And in came Brian Wilkin, sick, like sweating, shaking, looked gray. And they put him out on the floor. And then he played a little bit. And I got to be honest, he looked really, really bad. And like the defense kept bailing him out. Like the ball kept going past him and someone clearing it off the line. It looked so rough. And then like a few minutes later, they brought Rodriguez back in, which I could not believe.
Yeah. That's, I don't know how
and he got hit again. He got hit again. And then Wilkin played the rest of the match. And God bless him. He did the best job he could.
Yeah.
Could you imagine having a fever of 102 or 103 and being asked to roll out there and play a reaction position like goalkeeper? It's insane. So Utica lost that night, and I'm sure Nick Pereira is going to get MASL Offensive Player of the Week. He was great. I think he had a hat trick with 4 assists in a 10-goal game.
Yeah, no, and as a goalkeeper, that's definitely not something you want to go ahead and do. You're just lethargic. You're slow. You're not there. You rely on a little bit too much of your inherent skills, and sometimes you just can't respond. And I mean, to be out and down for the first knockout ball to the face for that long a time, and then be able to come back. I'm no medical professional, but I think the safe thing to do would be to keep that individual out. If again we're considering safety as the prerogative here, especially a head injury, which sometimes get called, sometimes they don't. There's knocks to the head that are allowed to just kind of keep on going, let play go for another 2-3 minutes, and then we'll attend, and it's supposed to be stopped. It's one of those things where it's just a gray area.
It really is. So, I personally put a little discount on both of the Utica losses. If they had gone out with Coughlin and given up that many goals and lost the games that they lost, I would have absolutely said, okay, degrade Utica's championship standing. Let's drop them in our mind a little bit. Let's drop them a tier. When we do our next tier list, we'll knock Utica down a tier, and we might still do that. I don't know, but I will say this: the chat in both Thursday and Saturday night's game was extremely anti-Frank Tayu from the Utica fans, because the King hasn't been the King so far in Utica. He had a really big game against Harrisburg, which, we'll talk about Harrisburg. Harrisburg's 0-8. Poor Harrisburg. I don't know what to say, but they're just not there. They're the team in the East that gets clobbered over and over, and they've got some good players. I know their management is trying hard. I know the Heelys are doing the best they can. It's no knock on the organization, but my goodness, they've been so bad for so many years. Like, how do you develop a fan base when you keep winning, 4 games or 2 games or 5 games? And this year, I don't know if they're going to win a game. Like, I'm sure they will at some point. I'm sure they'll, face the ambush or something. But so far, minus 41 in 8 games. That's a 5-goal loss per game.
Yeah.
And that's where Utica is, that's where Harrisburg is right now. So really, they're becoming one of those teams that, like, you have to parse it. You're like, oh, well, Utica started off this well. Oh, Kansas City started off this well. Well, how many times did they play Harrisburg? If they beat Harrisburg 4 times, and again, it's nothing to Tavernisi, it's nothing to any of the great players that are doing their absolute best with the Heat. It's not happening, and it's tough. It's tough. It's tough in Dallas. It's tough in Empire. Empire then smashed Dallas. So I guess we say it's tougher in Dallas than it is in Empire. But, for the teams that are at the bottom of the MASL and are just getting clobbered week after week after week, it's a tough scene, man. It's a tough scene.
Yeah, and it's demoralizing in a lot of different ways, and it doesn't look like there's clear skies on the way. But I mean, that's kind of what we said at the beginning of the season. Also, it's just really these are going to be the places where the teams are going to be cemented, and right at the get-go, it just was very clear where a team like, say, Ambush has been. And Utica, again, you go back to last season, they had a great end of the season. Is that magic kind of wearing off where it was still there at the beginning of this current year? But it's tough to really kind of predict the direction that they're going to go ahead and head into.
In the standings, my pick is still looking good, Tony. 4th place Milwaukee has 15 points now that they got 2 wins last weekend over Utica and Harrisburg. Baltimore came from behind to win in overtime, and they were losing to St. Louis. We're losing 5-1 to St. Louis at home. But they came back and won. And now the Blast think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're 7 points behind Milwaukee with 1 game in hand right now. And I still feel very confident that the top 4 teams in the East will be the top 4 teams in the East. Not in that order. I think Monterrey will finish 1, Kansas City 2. It might be Milwaukee 3 and Utica 4. I don't know. But I think those 4 teams in some sort will be sorted right there. And I think the final 3 will finish in exactly that order. Baltimore 5th, St. Louis 6th, and Harrisburg 7th. Ta-da. Who cares? That's me. I don't matter. I don't matter at all. Who cares what I have to say? It's funny. I can say that on this show and feel so confident, Tony, and comfortable. Like if I said that on 97.3 right now, I'd have like 3 people on Twitter going, "That's exactly right. No one cares what you have to say, loser. Get out of here. Bring back the coach."
The first whiff of soccer talk on the first day, on that Thursday.
I know.
Those comments, I was like, at first I was surprised with how much actual support there was, which was a nice little reprieve of the, I guess, torrential downpour of negativity that was to come. But, I'm really looking forward to hearing soccer talk with Annie and Elston. 10-2.
I'm looking forward to having Tony Sanchez on as a guest on
man.
Annie and Elston. What do you think about that?
Can
we get you out of the Y in those precious daytime hours? Can we get you on the radio?
I've had discussions already about this with my bosses and said, "Hey, this is a thing that might be happening." So they said, "Hey, well, you better clock out."
Perfect.
Which is fair. It's okay.
Very
it helps
fair.
that my boss's boss is a season ticket member for the San Diego Sockers too. So, there's that.
This weekend, some big matches. Utica at Kansas City is a huge match. And honestly, Utica needs a win. You want to focus on Frank. You can focus on Frank. Frank hasn't been the potent scorer since 2021 that he was previously. He's still obviously extremely good. He's the first player ever to 500 points. But he's not powering Utica's offense. Ronaldinho has been powering Utica's offense to a greater extent than Frank has. And listen, Gordy didn't do anything this past weekend either. It's not like, Gordy was out there just lighting the world on fire and everyone is lighting the world on fire and Frank's the only guy that's not firing for Utica. So it takes time. It takes patience. It's not as Frank-centric an offense. In Utica, they're not just posting him up as the 9 and feeding him the ball all the time. So, it's going to take some time, and we'll see. We'll see. New team, new situation. On a personal level, I got a lot of respect for Frank. I got a lot of respect for him for his off the field persona. On the field, he was a soccer's nemesis for years and years and years. I don't know if we've cleared that hurdle or not. But I still have a lot of respect for him as a human being and as a person. And I know the way that things ended in Ontario for him wasn't the way he wanted. And I hope that he succeeds to some extent in Utica. I hope that Utica fans aren't blaming Frank Taillou for the team losing when they conceded like 22 or 23 goals over the weekend. Yeah. Flasher at Texas. Will the Flash drop a point?
No say. I don't know, man. And maybe this was the energy that they save by not playing the Sockers. It will be used to play against Monterrey Flash. I believe that in a sense, right? You were primed and ready to play one of the best teams in the league, and then you have a chance to play the other best team in the league very, very closely. So you're preparing in maybe similar manner in terms of fitness, not necessarily in terms of tactics, because these two teams are different. But I think it's a reprieve to have that break of not playing the Sockers for Texas. And Flash, I mean, again, like I hope they trip on a stick at some point and just give up an extra goal here and there. And oh, look at that, they went ahead and lost the match. Like, and this can potentially be it.
Yeah, hey, Sockers have hated playing at the Mesquite Arena. And the first time they won there was that playoff match last year. They had lost 3 games at Mesquite Arena in 3 tries prior to that. So, I'll keep fingers and toes crossed that maybe Texas on the lumpy, bumpy field gets a happy bounce and gets the win. They certainly have the ability to score. Of course, Texas plays Empire as we're talking 40 minutes from now. So I'll be watching that on Twitch as well with the Doc and the Panda and Philly. And we'll see how that one plays out. And if Texas pulls the points out of that game, they're supposed to. But it's Fabian and Ponce together for the first time since Chivas. So we shall see. All right, we'll wrap up with soccer's news. We'll bang through this. Soccers are back home Sunday, taking on Chihuahua Savage, 5:05 p.m. And there's a lot of things going on, starting with before the match. From 2:30 to 3:30, a Soccers pregame kids skills clinic for children 5 to 12, girls or boys, or theys, welcome to come on down and learn from Soccers players and coaches for an hour on the floor, 2:30 to 3:30 at Pechanga Arena. It's a special ticket that gets you in. You go to sdsoccers.com/clinic, and our guru of all things, Spencer Ishii, told me earlier this morning, just limited spots, but a couple of spots do remain for the skills clinic. So feel free to get your kids signed up, sdsoccers.com/clinic. In addition to taking part in the clinic, you get a ticket to the match and an opportunity to be a part of the pre-match parade of champions. So be down on the field while the teams are being introduced during the playing of the anthem and everything else. So it's a great deal. It's super, super affordable. sdsoccers.com/clinic to get your kids signed up. And please do so soon because, hey, I mean, the match is on Sunday. Time's running out. Also, Sunday is Kick Cancer Night when the Soccers take on the Chihuahua Savage. And there are a couple of different ways that you can help benefit on Kick Cancer Night. First things first, and, cancer blood, okay, tangential, but San Diego Blood Bank is going to be hosting a blood drive in the Pechanga Arena parking lot just outside the north entrance from 12 to 5 p.m. on Sunday. We invite everybody to come out and donate to San Diego Blood Bank. Anyone who does gets a free ticket to the match. So if you were looking for a ticket, all you got to do is drop off a pint with our buddies at San Diego. I mean, I don't know. Do they withdraw a pint of your? They don't withdraw a whole pint, do they? Probably not. But a few vials of blood, a couple vials of blood. They'll give you an orange wedge. They'll give you a juice box. They'll get you, ramped back up in time for the 5:05 kickoff. So you can get a free ticket for donating to San Diego Blood Bank. Please do so. We appreciate you. Then during the match, Tony, there will be a 50-50 raffle taking place where you can buy your tickets at the merchandise stand. And half of the money in the 50-50 raffle, of course, will go to the winner. And the other half will go to Oncology in Kids, which is a charity that we have been working with for multiple years, including with the golf tournament. Also, on Sunday evening, 50% of the money from the Frisbee sales will go to Oncology in Kids. So normally on that, 50 goes to the winner, 50 goes to us. Instead, 50 will go to the winner, 50 will go to Oncology in Kids. So two different ways to support Oncology in Kids on Kick Cancer Night. Take part in the 50-50 raffle, buy some Frisbees and toss them down, try and make your money that way. Both different ways will support Oncology in Kids. Last bit, belt bag giveaway. The MERS, the Soccers belt bag. It'll be given away while supplies last to all fans coming in. So a lot of things happening. And then, of course, at 5:05, man, it's kickoff time. It is Soccers and Savage. And here we go. I mean, it's revenge time.
Yeah, no, this is one that everybody's been circling on that calendar. And I mean, I've been circling on the calendar for a couple of different reasons, mostly the blood bank as well, because it's my quarterly oil change that I need. That's unfortunately how I have to think about donating blood, because I'm not a fan of needles. It's just take it and I'll just generate more. And it's for a great cause. But I mean, it's also huge for a couple different reasons, right? This is the team that eliminated you, that in a way really soured the season in front of your home fans who were really thinking this is going to be another championship season. This is going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. The league is also already kind of like, oh, well, if San Diego wins, it's going to be easy for production. No, Tony and Craig have to produce a a final via satellite and, do all that that ended up being our English commentary. But this is a game that is circled on every single player that was involved with the Sockers last season. They want this one back. It doesn't matter if the team is different, if there's different players. The name is still there. They are still the reigning, defending, undisputed champions of the MASL. And that pedigree is going to remain until the zeros hit this season. So that's what it is. It's going to be the revenge. And hopefully my pal over here can definitely, I say over here as I don't put anything there, but he has something to do with it. I hope he has something to do with it, and not just one. Please,
yeah, not just one, but at least one.
Yes, at least one.
We've been sitting on our Child's 400 graphic for 3 matches now. Let's get that thing out there. Let's get this taken care of. Hey, Chris Toth decided personally to deny Craig Giles his 400th point last week.
Yeah.
Like he saved all his best saves specifically for 3-7. Like it was just every single time. Oh, a goal goes in. Wait, Giles is shooting. Save. Dynamic save. So, let's see. I believe Giles will take care of that. No problem. Hey, look, the Savage are 2-4. They have 6 points. And yeah, they're 2-0 against the rest of the league and 0-4 against Monterrey. So that's how I look at it. I don't look at it as like they're a bad team. I look at it as Monterrey might be the best team in the league this year. And they plumbed them 4 times. And that's scary. Like that's really scary from a soccer standpoint. Sunday, we'll get to find out where is the level. Where is Chihuahua's level right now? When they come to San Diego in 2024, what are they bringing compared to what they brought last year? Because Berna's not there. Torres isn't there. Zuart isn't there. A lot of the key players on that team are now in Monterrey. So do we now have the handle on Chihuahua? If you beat them on Sunday, if you club them and you drop them to 2-5, now you're giving Empire a little hope. You're giving Empire that tiny window. Like, can we really get past these guys? If Fabian and Ponce come in and maybe they hire 7 to 12 more Chivas players, like, can we get to a point where Chivas Ontario is able to take this out and to move up to 4th place? Because I'm sure from a soccer standpoint, we'd rather not face Chihuahua under any circumstance. I don't think any of that's happening, Tony. I think Chihuahua is going to be right there in the mix at the end of the year, and I think it's going to be a tough match on Sunday too.
Yeah, and that's going to be a match that they definitely want to go ahead and play up to the competition and defend the honor of the team that did that last season in the house of the San Diego Soccer. So, I mean, it's going to be a really exciting match, and I'm looking forward to also not seeing Tacoma for a change, because it's a little bit different. But if it's going to give Chivas USA Part 2 Electric Boogaloo some hope, I don't know how I feel about that. But either way, the Sockers need to go ahead and, again, keep making those statements and keep pressing on and improving. As they really have game to game, they've been getting better and better chemistry wise. You're seeing goals and assists and points from players that you wouldn't normally be waiting for. But overall, I think it's a good place for San Diego to really showcase exactly what this means and how much it hurt them. And if they were mad after a victory in Dallas, think about how upset they were about losing in front of their fans at that moment in an instant with a golden goal.
Now, it's not the only match this weekend. The Sockers are playing their second interstate back-to-back, second of 4 interstate back-to-backs. So it starts Saturday night at Acceso Showwear Center in Kent, Washington against the Tacoma Stars. And the Stars are 0-3 against the Sockers, and they're 3-0 against the rest of the league. And they did take care of Utica, and it was the number 1 line. It's just always the number 1 line for Tacoma. It's Pereira kicking butt, Jamel Cox getting the job done. Usually Canale is in there somewhere. But so far, the Sockers have proven to be the superior club through 3 matches. I wouldn't expect anything necessarily different other than the Stars feel a lot better about themselves now, Tony, than they did before. They've put the goals up. They're playing at home. So it's game 4 of 6. San Diego needs to just take care of business, straight business trip, keep the blinders on, and post another, 9, 10, 11 goals against Tacoma like they've done each of the first 3 matches.
Yeah, not a time to take the foot off the pedal at this point, because all these teams have the potential to really stick it to you. And it's any given Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever they play. It's any given day. They can go ahead and take care of business against the Sockers because everybody wants that on their record.
Yeah. So interesting weekend, potentially difficult weekend. We'll see. I've heard some rumors of some Sockers injuries coming into the weekend. Let's find out what that lineup looks like on Saturday. We'll learn a lot more on Saturday. And of course, Thursday, the biggest match in the history of the United Soccer Coaches Convention, taking place on the futsal turf, on the bubbly turf between the Sockers, some players wearing Sockers uniforms. No, Sockers, just, not our regulars, and the Empire Strikers. So I don't even know what to think about this. Just survive. I don't even care about advance. Survive and advance to the airport the next day.
Throw Zé Roberto out there. Throw Farber. Bring him up again.
Yeah, come on, Farbs.
Yeah.
I told you we're digging your ass out of retirement.
One more match.
You want that shadow box say? What did you think about Thursday? Huh? Okay. Yeah, so that's all happening. It's all taking place. Very, very busy weekend. By the way, leading right into the following week, when the day after we have our next show, Tony, the Sockers will play the Strikers at Ontario's Toyota Arena on a Wednesday night, the 17th. So it's going to be 3 games in 6 days for the San Diego Sockers. Game, travel, game, 1 rest day, 1 recovery day, back to Empire, another game. So San Diego pulls 9 points out of this. They're, obviously gold, but it's going to be hard. And first loss last year was up in Empire. And especially after their banner ceremony for hanging the Pro Indoor Cup, that they're going to be fired up and ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, again, this is another stretch of the season where it's going to be, this is what makes champions. And this is on the road to a championship caliber team. And that's definitely something where they're going to go ahead and have to cut their teeth. And it's not going to be easy listening and knowing just kind of what's been on the potential fitness level for the Sockers. Not necessarily something too surprising because it was bound to happen. If anything, it does happen. But look, I think the Sockers have what it takes to take care of business at this point with the talent, the players that they have. Just, don't worry about Thursday. You're fine. You're fine, guys. I don't know if anybody's worrying, but you're fine. What's the prize money?
Can we recruit Team Beto or Team Tony to come up and represent the Sockers?
Look, I guess if you have my celebrity jersey available, I think I could don it for the day. And I actually was talking with Boris before about, how I'm going to go and present, and I'm going to go ahead and just show him up. And he had a good laugh, but he made sure to tell me, hey, you got to wear the Mexico gloves that I gave you. I was like, yes, but I have them in a special place. So we'll see what we have about this. We might have to break them out a little earlier.
All right, that does it for the show tonight. Thanks to everybody. We sure love and appreciate all y'all's attention. This franchise, we want to give it right back to you each and every week. Can't wait for Tony and I to be back on the air together Sunday evening at 5 o'clock with the kickoff of the Sockers and Savage. We'll listen in to Andrew Harvey and friends up in Tacoma for Saturday night's broadcast from Acesso Showwear Center. And Thursday, no broadcast. You can follow us at San Diego Sockers. I promise to take a couple of pictures as long as the traffic isn't so bad, leaving my radio show and getting up to Anaheim that afternoon. I'm sure we'll be able to make it. Special thanks to Oscar Sanchez joining us from Monterrey. Outstanding stuff. Don't forget, please, if you're watching on YouTube right now, subscribe to the San Diego Sockers channel, like, comment here on Twitch. What do you have to do? Follow, subscribe, click, bink, bonk, boop. Do it all. Thank you. We appreciate you. Tony, where can everyone follow you?
Everybody can go ahead and follow me on my personal X account at _Tony Sanchez. Or you can follow anything that I do on the side in covering soccer in San Diego at sandiego.futbol. Yeah, that's a website. .futbol, not .com, .futbol.
And you can
Right.
follow me on X at 619 Sports. You can follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, 619 Sports and Life. I'll try and post there a little bit more often as well. And, of course, check out Annie and Elston Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. For Tony Sanchez, for Oscar Sanchez, not related, I'm Craig Elston, also not related, saying thanks so much for listening. You made it to the end of the show. We appreciate you. We'll see you on Sunday. And go Sockers!